Hi everybody, welcome to today's YouTube Live. Today we would like to share some updates, a new update. In fact, it's actually a new policy for the DigiTech sector, as I promised last time. So we'll be really looking at what areas they cover and the changes. Last time I understand some of our candidates asked because I asked whether you need a checklist. Because our checklist is really tailored to suit for individual, which is very premium service. Therefore, we are actually still developing a checklist which will help people to really gonna apply for everybody, most common one. And so I was still developing that. I'm hoping really to release it next week. Which and then we want to give some guidance about that, just to make sure that, because I understand lots of candidates, they're not themselves and they got rejected and they just give up, which is the worst scenario. It's because you give up too easy and too early. You should just try to think about why. Although the process itself is very frustrating, but it's really great experience to see you win at the end, isn't it? So checklist, I hope to announce it in our YouTube channel, that everybody can go on download it. I want to actually to create something that it's going to be helpful, realistic, helpful, and then, but I don't want to give wrong guidance for all of you, right? So I promise you I will release this to everybody. Now today we'll be talking about DigiTech, and this is some areas of majority of our clients actually come from DigiTech and financial sector. So DigiTech is really broad. Now department released this document to us about a few weeks ago. So I'm just sharing this with you. That's the intention here. It is they want Australia to become a leading digital economy and society. And therefore they want individuals coming from different sectors within the DigiTech ecosystem. So DigiTech is really broad. It covers all areas you can think about. So presumably it should be everything is about DigiTech at the end, isn't it? But in the narrow definition of DigiTech is including innovative manufacturing, and how to, and then we did have a candidate in this area as well. Security, cybersecurity, finance, it is, it's still within DigiTech. Travel, communication, games, immersive technology like metaverse or a gaming environment, transformative technology, looking at the most closely connected physical world and the digital world. The specifications we are looking at, so these specifications, we are looking at all these areas such as data science, data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, data science is really within DigiTech. Cloud computing, 5Gs, this you can also read this yourself, Internet of Things. So some of the candidates asked me that how can I, my area is actually across different sectors, for instance DigiTech, or I might be in agriculture technology, or I might be in advanced technology, right? What is the areas you want to pick? So what's the sector? Currently, although department is only limited on the EOI form itself, okay, so I'm going to share the EOI form yourself, help for you to have a look about that. So EOI form itself, you only can actually put down one sector, right? And you have to pick one. Some of people really confused about that. They just feel, my area is actually within fintech and financial services, and then DigiTech. What is the area, and how can we work on that? That part I believe it's important. We should really focus about areas that make yourself outstanding. So it is not thinking about limited to setter, this particular setter, but the natural of the work you are currently doing. So I'll just give you an example of the setters where when you do EOI, global talent independent. Global talent independent program. So global talent independent program itself, it's very fast tracking, and department can. So this is an online form. They ask you now. Online form has changed. They ask you, say, have you submitted EOI before? This is the reason why we ask other candidates. We say, I want to understand whether you have ever done any attempts and what was the result. Because they actually now start to look at your previous EOI and determine why we were rejected the first time. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that if you got rejected first time, you be rejected again, or you don't even bother to do it again. We actually help. I think we help quite a few candidates appeal successfully, where they got first time rejection. But we really want it back. We really look at whether they make mistakes on the first attempt, and whether we have the material change, or that is something circumstance change, or whether they did not address any key requirement on the first attempt. So really about that. But because if you got a first attempt rejected, then you really want to see have you really see what was the reason behind that, what kind of finals the case officer made on your application, because that's critical. And then most time if they reject you, they don't tell you why, right? They don't tell you, say, hey, I think you forgot about that point. I think they assume you understand that requirement, so you're gonna need to address all the key requirement there, which include significant achievement, something like that, and ability to establish yourself in Australia, and then outstanding. So these key requirements, you want to cover them all, but if you forgot to cover, they will actually make final say, hey, this candidate did not meet this requirement. And then during the next attempt, if you didn't address that, you're gonna have the same result, isn't it? So on this one, have you heard about that? It doesn't matter because this is for marketing purpose. Have you referred by the talent officer? Yes. In this case, we have. Then you say yes and put down their names, and that is important as well. The reason it's that they will raise awareness. Surely someone endorse you. It means that your file is relatively good, and so it's different. It's hugely different comparing to you don't have an endorsement and then you do. And if you have very confident and you're not aware, you don't worry about that at all, then just throw in everything you think is applicable. That's fine. But I strongly encourage you, if you think your case you're not 100% and you have some concern. Now this is setters. I just scroll down. You can see there's a few setters here, right? So resources, agriculture, food and tech, health industry, defense, circular, DigiTech, infrastructure and tourism, financial service, fintech, education, energy. So it appears here that you can only choose one setter. Let's say if you choose setter, and then you're gonna say this occupational company's name, right? You're gonna provide employment contract, say how much you earn now, and then does it matter? It does matter for some of our occupations. Let's say if you work in financial sector and expecting you, and in some of countries, for instance, in US or Hong Kong, expecting you to have a high income, but your income is significantly lower than your peers, then that's important, isn't it? That is important. And then we look at why. And for some of the countries itself, also people working engineer who might not relatively don't have a high income. Now but you can't assume that everybody has the understanding of that, isn't it? Especially in IT, some of the countries in area of IT, they attract high income, others they don't necessarily attract high income. So DigiTech really looking at all circumstances here, and income. So income about and then you pick that. Does it affect the outcome? It does in some circumstances, yeah. But you can't change anything because that's a fact, isn't it? So here it's for you to navigate the system. It is to present the best possible case to the department. So it's not saying I wish I could, but you just can't because that's the circumstance. So setters here, if you say it DigiTech, you're gonna choose one, you can't choose two, you can't have multiple. So what happens if your situation that across different sectors, let's say you're DigiTech, but you also work in a fintech. But I think if the sector itself, it is a financial sector, then that's no point why you put DigiTech here. You should not prioritize that. You can mention in your narrative statement saying, okay, also in the DigiTech. Sorry. As I mentioned, these information about printing, 3D printing, last time did mention smart cities as well. The smart city can be included, not in DigiTech. I think smart cities can be put out in infrastructure, and then it's better to put into infrastructure because if you're working within the construction, right? So it's preferable that you have that. Now, department is not going to invite someone who's business analyst and developer and then IT consultants without international exposure. So if you or your occupation or your job is really about business analyst, and then your past experience is really about business analyst itself, then I think it's not a good sign. It is definitely not a good sign, because it's too general. The GTI itself doesn't. They are not inviting someone who's a generalist. They want someone who's a specialist. They want someone who's special in this area. So as a business analyst, you understand business need, and you tell the developer, and they're gonna give you a bunch of solutions. So it kind of knows everything, but at the end you don't, because it's generalist, right? Which makes sense. That's well because it's likely they are not highly demanded because you don't have a niche skill. You have a niche skill. So what happens if your skill is that it is indeed a business analyst? Let's say lots of people actually chose a business analyst as occupation for their skill migration, but then the work is really about business analyst. It's really about that. Now what we're gonna do is you're gonna be focused. You're gonna pick something that make you be a specialist and not a generalist. Now, some areas, if someone's a researcher in, obviously not many people doing in this area because it's fairly new, and only Australia has kind of started to recognize that about gaming. I'm personally I'm not into it, but I understand this is some kind of a movement from gaming to future AI interaction, right? So softwares, in the area of software, I don't think you can be a researcher in software really. You have to have experience in that, isn't it? And then experience sometimes not limited, you know, that you understand customers' needs. You need to know what's the trend, and people are more into what area. So not necessarily something more advanced than the other. Or entrepreneur can consider a video game company, original title, target wider international audience. So now what happens, most of the game companies, they are regional companies because they already have enough audience, right? Enough audience. In that regard, I believe that you want to really figure out whether that's an opportunity to reach international audience. I believe that is, right? It's the gaming company. But it's really really related because we read some of the areas with casino gaming. Some areas that department might not interested at all because that's these gambling. Okay, so if this is related gambling, that is different. That's very different. So that's very, you can really break down all different elements and figure out that. Now, exceptional candidates, they include founder of, obviously inventor of, if have IP related, which means you have something that you have patent, right? This is called exceptional. The difference between exceptional and strong, that's no difference because you're gonna get the same permanent visa. That is no significant difference in term processing because the processing will be fast for strong candidates and exceptional candidates. No much difference. The difference is perhaps if you are exceptional, perhaps in the first stage they will give you very fast processing time. Well, for us it doesn't matter. I don't see the huge difference between exceptional candidates and strong candidates because presumably these strong candidates will become exceptional candidates somehow because if they have enough room to grow. So that's it about that. That is the something we sometime last week we did not cover that part. Now in terms of other areas, for instance, I might not continuing to do this next week because we are going to have another live. It's really about taxation. This is really focused who's already got permanent visa approved and they start to come into Australia. So we will we'll be inviting a tax expert in this area, and then he's going to deliver another session. So today I'll finalize all other sectors, and so give you some ideas of that. And if you are the person who listening after this live, and just don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and comment and send and contact us directly. Very simple and easy because I do provide free consultation for that, 20 minutes at minimum, just to give you some guidance and outline about that. All right. Now, DigiTech is one area, and I'll cover other areas which will be sometimes related to DigiTech. But the idea is really focusing, shifting from everything about DigiTech to really narrow it down. Now, here we've got health. Now, health, we've got quite a few candidates in this area. Health has included two areas. One is device, and one is healthcare, right? Health science. So that's areas. I believe lots of people got invitation for these areas as well. And I did mention last time about pharmaceutical companies, about candidates' role as a marketing salesperson. Now, so infrastructure, and this is actually very new. And if you check statistics, you can see that not many people got invited under this program. The reason being that this is a new sector. So if you're within the new sector, it's good for you because which means departments are likely going to invite you if you're doing really well. So infrastructure and tourism, they put into one sector. This is actually completely two different sectors. So now if you have any questions, don't forget to ask here, and I'm able to answer you directly. So infrastructure, they have two specifications. One, it's about transportation, including roads, bridges, tunneling, rail, and airports. So actual infrastructure. So infrastructure here is really about infrastructure, not IT infrastructure. Something like smart cities, buildings, how to navigate the whole smart city area to get data from all the environment. For instance, I know some of companies doing in Taiwan where they need to design a new airport really to figure out how to cater future automated vehicles. If one vehicle from transform passengers from terminal 1 to terminal 2, what's going to happen with that? So this is about smart cities and infrastructure. Really looking at for transportation. I think Australia really looking at a fast travel train, because assuming that if some experience of railway, we do need a fast train from Sydney to Melbourne, from Sydney to Melbourne or to Brisbane, and then to Adelaide. We need fast train. If we really can have this fast train, it's going to tremendously improve that our system, because food will be delivered faster. And so this is really good. If someone's working in this area, I understand if an engineer, they're working in this area, not necessarily they will get the current earn high income, which is the area we want to consider. Really look at, so it can be a concern on the surface, like say your income is not high, as a high income, but we're going to address how are you going to address that requirement. You can't just say, I'm actually doing very well. What do you want me to do? So you're going to explain that why you can't, right? Why you're able to attract high income. Another area is like electricity grid. Okay, we have candidates working in this area. Obviously, for these companies, say sometimes they work in state-owned electricity organizations, which means that they don't attract high income as well. Now, this really focus about how you can use this technology really to help with the transition of electricity grid, then battery and then electricity. So really about that. So let's say someone has experience in marketing. That's not necessarily within that. We have to really look at how your skill set it's very advanced. It's more advanced than someone else's. In electricity grid, we have helped quite a lot of candidates in this area. A majority of them do not earn high income right now. Okay, they don't. And then sometimes it's actually a huge gap between the high income and the current earning power. Huge gap. We still able to look at them and get them a permanent visa. Because of that, we think that it's important, especially in Australia. We have a situation where we have rural Australia, right? So that's a huge challenge for how can we deliver and distribute this. And anything about that is about infrastructure, electricity, and water treatment, water management technology. We've got candidates working this as well. Income is huge difference, huge gap between. It's really about minimum, and that's a huge gap between the department's requirement and their salary. Now, if you have any questions, ask me. Or if I'm just talking about infrastructure and tourism, if you have any other area, if you're in any other areas, you can ask me so I can just jump in and just talk about that. But I will just focus on that because I actually want to share this with everybody to make sure this knowledge is accessible, although you can't see anywhere online because the department hasn't published yet. They just share with us first. So you can't see anywhere from. If you have any questions or you ask a copy from it, just say yes, you want a copy, and then trying to find a way, maybe leave a message or send an email to me, and then I will, we'll do that. I will send you the copy of that. I try to find a way to distribute it. Department is happy for us to do that, so that's no problem with that. Now come to the infrastructure. Infrastructure is really about railway, about tunneling, bridge, and road. Okay, so engineering. That's really about engineering. All those like tourism is very new sector, and then I think it's going to be very attractive. Lots of the area people's working in this area is going to be very fantastic, where help Australia or some areas become high value tourism attraction, high end accommodation, high end sustainable tourism. Because currently, what happens after post-COVID, for the post-COVID. How are we going to handle and how are we going to attract people? Because what happens with people is fear, something called fear. You're so fearful that you actually don't want to go anywhere to consume anything. And people, even now, we open a border, then you can see a lot of news, people share information. Don't go outside, don't go anywhere. Okay, you're going to be life endangering experience, and that's bad because economy cannot move forward if people stay at home forever, and that it's going to take very long time to people to really adapt new area. Used to travel a lot, we have cheap flights, But if that we can't pick up really fast, then the problem is then flight tickets become expensive because nobody book a flight, so they have to limit the tickets. Therefore, they become more expensive. Therefore, there's less people go anywhere. Therefore, that will be less spending. So for hospitality, whole industry, actually, it's a huge industry for Australia, and it's very important. So if you're working in this area, just tell you, this is really going to be really good. Although everybody now saying I'm a DigiTech, but if you really work in that, which means your area of work might not necessarily link to technology. Okay, not necessarily linked to technology. It can be architect. It can be something like you design, a high-end accommodation that it's energy efficiency, which help others to really attract others to come, right? So obviously, if you are a restaurant manager, that's not going to help, isn't it? It's not that. Or perhaps if you have different, let's say, you're gonna do differently, then that will be some areas we would want to look at, the scale, the level of scale. Now, within infrastructure and tourism, we also have two areas to cover. One is exceptional candidates. Another one is strong candidates. Exceptional, CEO, which is, we don't want to cover that. If you're a CEO, just contact me. I have helped quite a few companies, US companies, and they're actually CEO of their Australia branch, got permanent visa under the infrastructure within the battery area, which is also an public listed companies. Now, strong candidates really saying, again, you are international recognized. We have a misunderstanding of international recognized, and then people just start confused all the times. Because technology or work, what do we mean by international? It's, if you're athletes, obviously you want to participate the international stage, which means you go to an international game, right? You participate and people recognize you and then won award. Gold. Now, if you are professional, how can you recognize internationally? Really not about you personally, physically go to different countries, right? And say, hey, I work these countries. Majority of our candidates never went out their doorstep. No, okay? Majority of them never say I work in Canada, UK, Australia, and a bunch of countries. No, none of them. All right. So international recognized that it's not relating to you physically go to a country and then people give you awards, say, hey, you're recognized. No, nothing about it. This is really we compare to area whether your current work, it is of international level. Is that still advanced? And then we want to understand that because I will do research. I understand that. I will say, I think this thing is really advanced. Or, well, you're already behind. I don't know what else we can say. And compared to, I know a lot of people, when they lodge themselves, recently had quite a lot of candidates, they came back to me. Some of profile relatively good. And then they came back and said, oh my God, I wait for 6 months and never heard any feedback from government. What am I going to do? And I just wait. And I said the worst scenario is just wait, because if you processing time significantly longer, which is not supposed to be the case, which is not what when they decide they will say I will finalize your application within weeks. That when they decide this application where how many processing time, they don't want to put the global talent just like other visa skill migration 189, 190, 491, and which takes at least 18 months, right? So they don't want to happen that. It's supposed to be finalized within a few weeks. So if your case is not finalizing in a few weeks, that is something really bad. You're gonna think about what's happening. Is that someone else better than me? Well, surely that's the case. What can you do to actually improve your case? You cannot sit there and wait passively, because if you sit there and wait passively, it means that more people will come into the EOI section, and then you become less advantage, right? Now, so in terms of tourism, of course, restaurant manager, no, it's not, right? I know that. You know that too. So pilots, taxi drivers is ridiculous. They don't even provide this information. Or just general skill and engineers, they don't even consider as well. So who they consider? They want someone who's international recognized, meaning they have interact with colleagues outside their country. Simple as that. They have interaction with colleagues outside. How do we know that? They need to explain in logic. So lots of candidates ask me, hey, I said so, and then yes, my colleague sent me an email confirm I did that, or they gave me a letter. Well, the department going to verify that, and if what if they said something they didn't agree, or what happens if they did interviews, and who's going to make decision? How do they know I am internationally recognized? And sometimes I say this, how, when we go interview, right? For instance, you sent a CV to HR, right, to our HR team, and then what is our criteria to select you? Because I haven't been working with you, nobody recommends yourself to me. So that is a job post you apply. Then how can I determine you're actually suitable? Why am I going to make risk to give you a job? Right? Why am I doing that? That's the exactly same logic behind the global talent. Exactly. So nothing hard to really understand that. Really hard to understand. So what do we mean by international here? If someone's work experience is really about regional, and they don't have international rule, and then they don't have international standards, that's really hard for us to fit in our team. It's very hard to work, isn't it? So if they work from different cultures, recognized by senior team members within other countries, other branches, I assume you're able to do that as well. So it's not hard to understand. So when you present your case, and then we're really looking at, let's say, international awards, and then you probably say, no, I haven't. Obviously, I also was one of team member. I could not possibly say, I won these awards, right, or something like that. Okay, so for instance, we have some candidates. The project is huge, a mega size, and how possibly can I say that this person is an international recognized expert? Now, how can I recognize that? It's really depending on the role. How can you explain? I have to tell you, department trusts whatever we write to them. If I can't explain really well, if you can explain really well, it is okay. For instance, we have a software engineer from US, then just graduate, master degree, 3 years experience only. Department asks one question: can you explain to me your contribution in developing this particular software that's helping with a medical device? That's it, because that's it. And what are we going to do? We're going to explain that. We're going to explain, yes, what I did, this, that, right? And then you just have a third-party verification. That's it. So can they trust your logic? Absolutely. Is that okay to explain logic? Yes, absolutely. But you cannot overly sell yourself, right? If that's a contradiction, something called logic, it's flow, like it's like workflow. It makes sense from point 1 to point 2 to point 3, and it just makes sense to us to understand that. Whatever you claim, I think a lot of candidates make mistakes. When they send email to me saying I am who I am, and a long list of their achievement, but when I check their CV, that's contradiction. That is something I feel no flow. It is that I feel that candidates, it's overselling. They oversell themselves. And so, and then you you mention something, it's nothing to do with international recognition, right? So for example, you say, okay, I developed this, I worked together with a team member, and then gave direction to them, and this is recognized by all internal team members. So after you said that, that's nothing to back up what you said, all right? And then the word in your CV, it doesn't mean that you actually you did not do the work, but actually it meant that you were only participant. You participate in that project only. And then you can say, hey, I'm trying to tell you I'm international recognized, and bam, 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 bam. Because that's two explanation here. One, it's recognized. Okay, three. Someone recognize you are expert, and that international level, right? 3 areas. So whatever you say here, you need to verify them in a way that makes sense. International, recognized, expert. And what do we mean by expert? How can I be expert? Some people ask me, how can you sell your clients or just present a client's case to the department and say they're expert? Are they actually expert? Are they actually expert in what way, right? And then for what we do, and it's really important, you need to really think carefully about expert in what way, right? And some of the expert in some areas, Australian government doesn't want you, and it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter at all. So if you say I'm expert, let's say some of healthcare professionals, it doesn't matter. I know you're expert for sure, but how can I say you're expert that someone else not? You really want to say that. If you say I'm a counselor, you cannot be expert, right? You can't be just saying I'm a counselor. It's not enough. Or I'm an engineer. So how can you be expert in something? You're gonna need to, you can narrow it down, really niche, very narrow. And in terms of expert, what do you mean by expert? You cannot become expert using one day. So what happens if some people change jobs and they have different roles and responsibilities, and they say they're expert in one thing, expert another thing, expert third thing. After all, they are not expert again, right? So you want to really find something, and I believe that's one thing you just need to find out, because if you pick 3 elements for your profile, it can confuse yourself, confuse immigration. And what happens when they have confusion, you know what happens? When people have confusion, when I have confusion, although for instance I'm doing my business, I want to have more clients as possible, but if I have confusion, what happened? It's not I don't want to respond. It is my profession, I have to respond, but I just delay it. Right? I'm not sure, I delay it, and I forgot about that. Right? So although we have a really good tracking system, so I'm gonna ask a question. I'll thank you very much. You have actually, my salary is above threshold, and my EOI lodged March 2021. I'm still waiting for confirmation. I've got experience in same field, DigiTech. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. And there is nothing make you disadvantage if you have 8 years experience. I told you, I've got clients who got experience with 3 years only. 3 years DigiTech only. That's completely fine. We have a client who has, just graduated, 0 experience. Fine, right? So if you matched, which means now more than 6 months, right? More than 6 months. And then you already meet high income threshold, which means you're supposed to be in the first category. Oh no, second category, because if you don't have no job offer, then you are on second category. Now supposedly you should be prioritized on a second category, and then you haven't received anything from department, which means that's not good sign, isn't it? So you just really, in terms of, if you can elaborate more, and I will help you to look through that. So because as I mentioned, that's a delay or significant delay. Our clients, when we help, it doesn't matter whether they have income and low income or whatever. We want to be able to get them within 6 months, because that means guarantee that we get it, and then we just don't worry about policy change. If that is a delay, and some of candidates, they lodge themselves wait whole year, and whole process, I believe they've forgotten her case, completely forgotten her case, completely. So, and then they couldn't find her case. Exactly. I contacted the town office. I thought, in this case, I need to find out what's going on. I mean, are they going to do anything about that? So when I contacted department, I realized they actually did not have the profile. Can you believe it? Which is rare. And so that is the reason, well, in a few weeks time, I actually sent an email to the department saying, hey, you know what, I have 10 EOIs. I just want to make sure you've got all of them. And I want to have updates of all of them. Are you processing them now? What's going on? I mean, what else do you need? So we have that kind of update. I ask them, hey, what do you want to do with my files? But if you wait significantly longer time, which is more than 6 months, that's something that's not going to be good for your profile. And so you want to really check, oh, have I provided anything? Is my current profile still meet current requirements? Although you might have already met that requirement at that time, but 6 months gone and you still meeting the requirement, you're not sure. So you're going to check that. So the significant change in the requirement is especially nominator. Nominator, they change the requirement nominator, income, setter, and that. So that's a lot of change in this area, which you want to pay attention to. Okay. Another candidate, I just mentioned about that candidate who she lost herself 1 year. 1 year, actually more than 1 year, and she just frustrated, thought what's going on, and she contacted me. I thought, oh my god. Then we found out she did not, and the department warned me. When I asked them, I said, oh, I want to make sure you got my this candidate, not herself. Did you receive the EOI? And they warned me, oh, okay, do not submit the EOI. But eventually I found out they did not have her file. They do not have the file in the system. And what happens is that because you found out they have, which means you're gonna do this again. But that process, how can you avoid that? Which is I share with you that you want to have this kind of, endorsement from town officer. Now, endorsement from town officer, not everybody endorse you, right? And sometimes what happens with them is they don't respond. They don't give it. I mean, they just feel, oh, I'm not sure. And they have duties to do something that's not a requirement. They must respond to your email. So what happens with that is you must think about, is there any way, and especially when people writing email to the town office or to department, that email is poorly constructed, which doesn't address the point at all. Because when you write information, for me, I write information to processing officer, and I write to the town officer. That's completely different writing tools. The writing style. When I write to the processing officer, one want to make sure that's comprehensive, a decision-ready application with all information ready. But when I write to town officer, am I going to do that? No way I'm going to do that, because they're gonna feel, oh my God, Joanne. They're gonna write to me, Joanne. I mean, do you know you're gonna do something? Do it yourself. Don't ask me, right? They're gonna say something like that. I just, I don't want to ruin that relationship. So, which is a professional one. So when you write to the town officer, you don't want to throw everything to them. You want to poke something that help a person, an HR person, to make a quick decision to say, hey, should I short list this person or should I not? Very simple. So if you send an email to town officer, you want to make sure they can make a quick decision within 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes, that say one thing: should I short list this person or should I not? Right? So they and then they will say, yeah, I'm not sure, or they will say, I'm happy. Just put my name down. And then most of the time they say, hey, Joanne, I'm happy to endorse your clients. Make sure when you send email to the town office, to the processing team, copy my email in, so I'm aware they don't make mistakes, right? They don't make mistakes, right? So whatever you write to them, you have to make sure. I thought another 10 minutes here. You have to make sure that whatever you write, it's completely relevant and hits the point. You do not want to throw. I have someone forward me. They sent an email to the town office of DigiTech, right? DigiTech, and my God, they put down like CV things, you know, hey, I've work experience here, and then the list is like this long, and DigiTech, and they say everything about they are a journalist, everything saying they are a journalist, so they're still not going to help with that. All right, so infrastructure I covered, DigiTech covered last week I covered fintech, some and then health sectors, tourism. If you work in this area, it doesn't make sure, just let you know, you don't have to be heavily tech centered, okay? It's okay. Now we'll go to resources. Now resources is really area of resources that's very important, mineral, and then we have a lot of area for industry, whatever within industry 4.0. And look, you know, don't be disappointed if you have not been invited, or you got rejected, or you know your friends got approved and you got rejected. And never be disappointed. For our works, you know, I always want people to feel about something. It is not like life or death, really, isn't it? You should always try your best to have the best service and best advice, best outcome. And should not give up things easily. Should not. I never give up things easily. Sometimes I actually push my clients. To be honest, I have a profession where I have more ego to get it than some of my clients. Because people, they just feel, oh my God, I'm not sure. I've got rejected once myself. Should I do it again? And I saw the opportunity of seeing through. So I would tell them, look, I don't give things easily. We just try every possible way. If that is you know one rejection, if we have no room, you know, that's fine, I'll tell you. But if we do have a room in a relatively small amount of time, within a small amount of time, let's try this. Or what happens? Well, if we are not suitable, what happens if you know what can we do to improve our case? If you're interested in this area, how to improve your case, just let me know. Again, subscribe our channel and leave a comment and contact us. You know, we have contact details here, and also we have our community there. Sometimes I'll ask questions there. You can please comment there, so I know what's needed, and then I'll do whatever within my ability to really share this free information. And department wants, they subscribe my channel. They want us to really share. We want to tell everybody Australian government is really serious, and then they really want to attract right people into the country. And so this infrastructure, so resources is really about resource waste management. This is really important. Now, if your sector is not within one market intelligence, absolutely technical equipment, that's very important, absolutely really important in terms of mining. Automated trucks, robotics equipment. So if your area is not within one of the sectors or specifications, don't worry, we can do the free assessment as well. And again, exceptional, which means absolutely great. Managing director, and don't think that it's rare. People, they do it themselves. No, they ask us as well. Why is that? Because again, you're special on something, and I'm special. I'm doing. I'm just simply really good, and then present my best case to the department. I'm just simply really good getting right result. And then we are actually, I don't know who else is specialized in that area. We are actually, I don't think we have competitor, I'm sorry. And even we charge premium service, premium. So, which we got me to think, although we charge premium, that is reason I'm still doing free, on YouTube. And even some people pay me premium service. I really want to give back. Because when I do premium services, really help, we focus really about results. So we are result driven, customer obsessed, and we are laser focused, which means whatever I provide YouTube, even I invite other consultants here, we never ask them a commission, whatever like that. So we don't sell property. I know some of the property real estate agent, they do migration as well, which is funny. We don't sell property. I don't sell property. I don't sell insurance. I don't sell, what is that? Any other, or go to the moon. Some of the companies, they if you say I go somewhere, they'll say, yeah, I help you to get anywhere you like. which you don't know where. So we are very laser focused, and it got us to be exceptional well on really. So whatever I took a glance on, whatever's profile, I can immediately able to make decision myself. It got me to have that. So therefore, which means if whatever you present to me, I'll have a good understanding of what kind of officer, processing officer will look at your file. What is the limitation? Is that something that you should able to improve? Just simply approve your presentation. Gonna make a significant difference at the outcome. Can you believe that? So that is the case where now strong candidates focusing about executives or about experience, subsea, or this is significant. This is probably some things really related to defense as well, oil, gas, mining, and that's that. Again, not limited to this. The reason why sometimes is terrifying. For instance, if I want team members join us, I will actually list out all criteria, 1 to Z, A to Z. I want people following all of that. Significant, for example, I would say legal research skills, has IT background, 100%. You have to have an IT background, you have technology background, and then you have experience working in legal industry, which is very hard to find someone like that, which we did find, eventually found. All our people have IT background. Oh, no, not IT background, sorry. Technology background. And that's my aim. I want people with equipment equipped with the knowledge in technology. So I will need someone who's a lawyer, who has a IT background, a technology engineering background, or something like data science, something like that, and want them to have that. And once you're able to really have present your, or you were a leader or something like that. So I put all the requirement here. Now, what happens if I need people who start work on that? I aim for that. But if they only meet one A to F, what am I going to do if I don't have anybody to work? I'm going to take that person, right? Think about that. Global talent is about job. It's about headhunting. So therefore, this profile, giving examples to you, it's not limited. Some of the areas, none of our clients fitting that, and it's completely fine. But it gives you the gist of what you're looking for, right? For another 5 minutes. So what we are looking for. So again, if you're not 100% following that, some of candidates, if they present a case to me, I see that's significantly disadvantage for their file. And sometimes they just don't know, for instance, if you're a researcher but you're currently actually not employed as a researcher, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? You have to really, really focus. You have to really, really focus. Because human mind, it's not, you have to understand how we process information. You're going to understand human brain. So how we process, if you give too much information at one time, you confuse people. It's just, if someone apply a job and then they say, oh, I want to start my own company as well, but I work for a job. Now it confused me. I think this person is looking for a job or whatever. What do they want? Tell me. And what I do, I just reject them, right? Because you don't know what you want to do. You're going to be really consistent what you want to do, and then put this information really, again, narrow it down. So it doesn't really need to limit it to these areas. Agriculture, lots of areas. Not many in this area. So agriculture, last time I mentioned some areas not, people consider as very, very important, like packaging. That's actually important. We did some candidates in this area. That's completely fine. Some areas, if you don't know what to select, let's say if you say, oh, my area is between medical and agriculture, because I really analyze DNA sequencing of crops, right? In this case, I think agriculture, that's better. The sector itself is better. I like that. because we rely a lot on that, because we have a very traditional agriculture here. I know that some of the advanced, but we need to further advance our agriculture sector. So so obviously these occupations won't be eligible, isn't it? Farmers, that's not going to be okay. Research sector, that is exceptional again. Okay, exceptional if you we own it. So strong candidates, or you can be a researcher in this case, or mainly someone is actually in research. For our clients, actually PhD graduates. Many PhD graduates apply through agriculture sector. All right, so thank you very much for watching. I think that you need a lot of patience to listen to my self-talk here. All right, advanced manufacturing. Now, the problem is advanced manufacturing because we don't have this sector in Australia. We literally don't. And so you're going to find very hard to find a job unless you're going to create one. So, therefore, but, what was that wording? So, Australia has no intention to really create this as a whole. They want to monitor and manage the critical area, okay, within the ecosystem. They want to manage that. They want to manage areas for instance, that able to manufacture health products, right? That is something you hear a lot. We want to able to control something. We can't just outsource everything to everybody. We have to have some core. So someone who's coming here will be really like working on startup companies or working start their own. Might find a little bit hard to find job though. However, bear in mind, we have Global Talent Alumni. Yes, welcome. Global Talent Alumni. Now, if you're a Global Talent Visa holder now, and you might like kinds, you can also join us. And if you haven't been invited, tell me, because I'm going to let you invited. Global Talent Alumni will be held by Department of Home Affairs, and they're going to have a once a month live webinar. Now it will be a webinar. Later we have face-to-face, which got lots of information, and be working with the Tech Council to give out jobs and lots of the tax incentives. Please contact us if you haven't received any invitation from Global Talent Alumni. We're gonna have a huge, big community here. All right, and I'll finish off this space. Again, not necessarily really related to space. It's about defense. Sometimes it's not necessarily the tech. It can be area of understanding international law, which is not within tech. You can still be invited. Education, that is the final one I'm going to cover. Again, education doesn't mean that you are a teacher or you are a lecturer. If you're a lecturer, you have to be very senior. Okay, very senior. Even you're senior, within education sector, that if you don't have a job in Australia now as a lecturer, even you do, it will be different. It will be harder if you're from outside Australia. So you want to focus something not about teaching, and then sometimes you just want to really think about what makes yourself outstanding. And then thank you very much for watching. Again, please subscribe our channel. Especially I'm going to give out lots of freebies, and then especially checklists and things like that. Sorry about that, because in my work is actually launching application. I lead a team of 9 professionals working on this thing only. So I can be very busy, and I'm still doing this on evenings. And can you believe that? And I think that it's a fantastic opportunity for this. If you have got any negative, don't be disheartened to say, oh, I'm not good enough. Trying to figure out something that how can improve your profile significantly, present better case, or get promotion, or do something like to improve your case. Don't feel that you're frustrated with Australian government. I know some of them have, but make sure that you research enough information. We do provide free premium service. However, that I'm sure that so others they provide service there, but make sure it's really about you think through about that, and I hope this one help you today. And again, thank you very much for watching, and then I see you next time. Bye. I will end